Is. Come on. Okay, we good? Okay. Good evening. It's Monday, September, Monday, okay, February 24th. The time is 6:02 PM, and would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice to all. All right, clerk, we're going to roll call.
Councilmember Brusher.
Here.
Councilmember Coyle. Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Patel.
Here.
Councilmember Patil.
Here.
Councilmember Pointer.
Present.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Here.
Okay, Madam Clerk, could you read adequate notice?
Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Public Meeting Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice sent to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, Desi Talk, and News India Times on November 18th, 2024, and posted main lobby municipal complex on that same date.
Okay, we open up oral petitions and remarks. Yes, Esther.
Good evening, Council. I'm here tonight to
Excuse me,
ask-
Esther, can you just give your name and
Yeah,
address?
Esther
Thank you.
Barkin, Dunham Avenue, Edison.
Thank you.
I'm here tonight to ask Council to vote in favor of a resolution in support of a bill in the New Jersey legislature called the Climate Superfund Act. In the New Jersey Senate, it's Bill S-3545, sponsored by John McKeon and Bob Smith, and in the Assembly, it is A-4696, sponsored by John Allen, Garrett Hall, and Elixon Collazo-Skill. There are also many co-sponsors, including our own Senator Deignan and Assemblyman Karabinchak. This bill would hold certain fossil fuel companies liable for damages to our homes and infrastructure that have been caused by the effects of climate change that their industry, policies, and practices brought about over decades, specifically since 1995. It would also help fund climate change adaptation and resiliency projects wherever needed, especially our roads, bridges, transportation, and energy infrastructure. The funds would be collected and distributed by a new program established at the NJDEP. There are numerous reasons why this bill is necessary, and your support of this resolution will send the message to our state legislators that we want them to approve it, and approve it this year. As you know, our climate has been heating up for decades, and 2024 saw the highest average global temperature in recorded history. The consequence of rising atmospheric and oceanic temperatures have resulted in disruptive and dangerous climate activities, such as stronger and more frequent hurricanes, heavier rainfalls, alternating with periods of drought, affecting farm crops, the livelihood of farmers, and our food supply. We have seen flooding of our ocean fronts, rivers, and streams, including the Raritan and Bound Brook, causing loss of homes and other personal property. Hotter temperatures throughout the seasons put us at risk for sea level rise, forest fires, habitat disruption, species loss, an increase in vector-borne diseases, life-threatening health risks to outdoor laborers, and the list goes on. The mitigation of the damages and losses caused by the activities of the fossil fuel industry has been and will continue to be expensive, with the taxpayers on the hook if we don't act. Going forward, there are two new developments that make this legislation crucial. Many insurance companies are no longer willing to offer homeowners insurance that could help homeowners recoup losses caused by climate damage, or they are making premiums unaffordable to many. And anyone with a mortgage must have homeowners insurance. And two, the Trump administration is less likely to approve funding to help individuals and states with climate recovery and resiliency efforts, and has already blocked the funding previously appropriated. We should be holding fossil fuel companies accountable for the consequences of their activities that they knew decades ago would be harmful. I've already submitted a copy of the resolution as well as the copy of the Climate Superfund Act. Councils that have already passed resolutions are Hoboken, Parsippany, Jersey City, Red Bank, Maplewood, South Orange, and Teaneck. New York and Vermont have already passed the law. I am asking council to give this request your serious attention. Approval of a resolution in support of the New Jersey Climate Superfund Act will send a clear message to our legislators and our governor that we want this bill approved ASAP. So thank you, and I hope to have some positive results.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Joel?
Joel Bassoff, Beach Lane, Edison. I have a question about how Edison is going to deal with its affordable housing obligation. I know that at the January meeting, there was a resolution on the agenda where Edison would adopt its obligation for affordable housing. That resolution never came up for a vote because the council lacked a quorum, and thus Edison missed its statutory deadline to adopt such a resolution by January 31st if it wanted to be able to afford itself immunity from builder's remedy lawsuits. The amendment to the Fair Housing Act did give a grace period if a municipality failed to meet a statutory deadline because of circumstances beyond the municipality's control. So I expected that at the last February meeting, the resolution would have been on the agenda, but it wasn't. So has the council been apprised of how Edison is going to fend off builder's remedy lawsuits since the township has not calculated its own affordable housing obligation? And other towns have adopted resolutions where they've come up with numbers that are much lower than the state's numbers. For instance, East Brunswick adopted an affordable housing resolution where they showed that they had an obligation that was a fraction of what the state had assigned to them. Why didn't Edison follow a strategy like that? And what would we say to members of the public who are thinking that by the administrations and councils inaction, we're just opening up ourselves to builder's remedy lawsuits, which means that developers will determine where affordable housing development will go rather than the residents of Edison through our elected council. So that's one question I have. Another question is the local finance board has set a deadline for the administration's transmission to the council of a budget for the first council meeting following the end of February, and the council insists that that deadline be met so that the council will have adequate time to review the administration's budget proposal. And along those lines, the statute also requires that department heads have public hearings to present their budget proposals for the upcoming fiscal year. Edison hasn't been doing that. Will the council start to insist that the administration comply with state law and do that? Other towns do it, so I don't know how Edison gets away with not doing that. And finally, I have to say, I really resent as a taxpayer paying for campaign materials. I'm holding up a refrigerator magnet that clearly says Mayor Samip Sam Joshi getting things done, but to get any useful municipal information, you really need a magnifying glass to see the township's website and phone number. So is the council going to do anything to prevent the administration from continuing to use taxpayer money for what is clearly campaign material? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me go to Counselor first about the affordable housing question.
Yeah, are you done? I'm not gonna have do a back and forth with you. No, well, I'll wait till his time expires and then I'll answer his question, because I'm not gonna go back and forth.
Filibuster?
What? Council President, are we gonna do a back and forth, or is this
No,
gonna be an
no,
answer to his question?
no, and any questions you have afterwards can be taken offline, okay?
It's particularly comical to me that Mr. Bastoff stands up here and asks about the affordable housing situation. He had raised this question last month through the council president. I took time to meet with you and provide you an answer to this question at the mayor's State of the Township address. And I explained the strategy that was being employed, and you applauded that strategy that was being done. And you stand up here tonight as if we never had that conversation, that I did not answer your questions, and are now saying that that strategy somehow exposes the township to some additional liability. So please don't waste my time in the future. If you want answers to real questions, I'm happy to give them to you. But what I'm not going to do is to just allow you to play politics. But I'll answer the question again for the benefit of the public, okay? For the public's sake, the immunity that exists under the affordable housing law exists through June, okay? This new law provides provided numbers given by DCA. These numbers are not in Edison's interest, and you and I explained that. We talked about that. We talked about how the numbers that DCA put forward for this council to adopt are way too high, and they don't take into account real developable land in Edison. So it was this administration's position to not adopt those DCA numbers, and not only that, not even to provide a report in response to those DCA numbers and to proceed under the old law. Because under the old law, we believe we can get a number that's accurate and in the best interests of Edison. I explained that to you. I'll explain it again for the benefit of the public. This administration and this law department will not allow DCA to dictate to Edison what is an appropriate affordable housing number. It has to be a number that makes sense, and that's what we intend to do. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. And Sonia, his question about the budget?
Yes, as I explained to Council President, so the local finance notice, which is 2024-20, outlines that municipal budgets would need to be adopted by March 31st or the immediate meeting thereafter. So it could be the first meeting in April. However, we have met with all of the departments. That is an internal process that we do. We have a finance subcommittee meeting actually coming up tomorrow. And upon that, we are going to propose together a draft budget next couple weeks. I will give council, this body, 2 weeks prior to the introduction, all of the documents, all of the backup. And as you recall, the last 2-3 budget cycles, I've met with each council person, whether it's Zoom or in person. I will do that as well and take whatever time is necessary to do so. So that is our budget process in the last few years. My experience as a municipal employee, we've done it that way. I think the earliest this township's actually adopted a budget in the last few years, well, last 8 years has been June, and we're hoping to get that done sooner than later, at least to introduce this to this body by the end of March.
Okay. And Joel, I think your other question was about your resenting what seems to you like campaign materials that was in the safety thing. Then you asked what we are going to do about that.
Yes.
Does anyone have an answer as to what we want to do about that? Sonia or Ken, this has been an issue that has been coming up amongst a lot of the residents. And so I don't know how the administration wants to go forward with this.
Again, I'm going to look at legal and quite frankly, Council President, these are hearsay, and I can't substantiate those.
I don't think there's any response for that.
What's that?
I don't think we have a response to that.
Council President, I mean, at the end of the day, I think I'm seeking legal counsel to take a look at the literature that's been put out. Because I myself, as a resident, if I truly believe that this is funds ill spent, like the police to Chicago, right? I, as a resident, have a right to sue the mayor to recoup the funds for the township. So I've been talking to a couple of attorneys, have them look at it.
Councilman, absolutely, we'll certainly take a look at it and give you an opinion on it. I have not seen it, but if someone can provide it to me, I'm happy to give you that opinion.
I would have an attorney because they're looking at, there's an elect law that certain things that the mayors or elected officials were to put out on a site like this that during election time would be considered campaign contributions or something. That's what the one attorney has found so far for me. So I know they're looking into that personally for myself as a resident anyway.
Thank you.
Thank
Joel.
you.
Thank you. Okay. Akhtar?
Akhtar Nasser, could the council clerk pass out the papers that I requested? Also, on this side, we did not take kindly to the lawyer's remarks that wasting your time. You're going to be here anyways. You're supposed to be here to answer the questions. The tone that you have.
Not if you lie. If you lie and you present it as if I haven't provided you information when I have,
But you can
that's
say-
particularly disturbing.
This is my time right now.
No, you're asking me a
So
question,
I
I'm
didn't ask a
answering.
question. I was making a statement, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was saying that you're here to go ahead and answer questions or, say whatever you have to say, but you don't have to say it in the tone that you said it. That's all I'm saying. There was no question there.
Okay.
All right? So if you don't want to agree with that, that's fine. So I tried to be efficient by contacting offline, as we were said that we can do business more efficiently, but it didn't work out. Also, I wanted to commend the library board for actually going from 3 minutes to 4 minutes on my request. So they have a smaller agenda than you guys do, but they're forwarding us the same amount of time. So it's a little ridiculous that you guys cut back our time. Now, I want to talk about vacancies on board. 6 months ago, I raised the issue about vacant boards and commissions. Today, I checked to see that there are also vacant boards. It's hard to navigate through the website and try to find out what actually is active and which ones aren't. So I think we need to do a change there. But one of the things that I requested in my email was that the Edison website, the one that we spent a lot of money on, does have the ability to go ahead and have pop-ups on the main page. So I was thinking that if we can go ahead and announce broken water pipes, and if we can have last-minute cancellations announced there, why can't we go ahead and quarterly write down what boards are available? In fact, if you guys are actually trying to get the best residents in there, because most people don't know those boards exist. But the response was from BA that here is a link to get to the boards, but that is not what I asked. And I've asked multiple times, but it seems I'm being ignored. Now, I still believe in that idea, but the other idea that I had was, since this goes out to every person, supposedly, the illuminator, and it is a prop and I'm allowed to hold it up, then I think that that is another place that we can go ahead and advertise it, because it is a physical form that goes to every person, whereas the website, not maybe everyone navigates to it. So just ideas that we can go ahead and try to involve all of the public. Other concerns that I have about procedures, rushing through things. We should have some standards that we follow. For instance, it sounded like that in last year at least, you have to have a printed copy of something, and that if it was in a digital form, it wasn't allowed. So I would like to know, what is the ruling on that? Is it digital or is it paper? Is it both? Can you vote on it if it's digital? Because it's confusing. If an application has a technical error, would that mean that it should be returned and corrected, or can you vote on it despite that? What types of things are urgent to fill? What kind of boards are urgent to fill? I believe that the planning board didn't have a member in there and the term expired. So what is it that makes us have to urgently go through something? I would like you to look at the papers that I gave you right now. It seemed that the council rushed to get the positions filled for that position. Nothing, again, would have happened if you had delayed the vote. What I want you to look at is on one of the applications. Pay attention to the part where it says, for which board, commission, or committee would you like to be considered? The answer is full-term voting member. I do not know what position that is, and I don't know how that can be an answer to that question. Now, how did this candidate's application leave the hands of the mayor and then go to the council without anybody picking up on it? I know how some of you guys are, a stickler for details. How could you miss that? Shouldn't the mayor have caught that during the interview? I know that this candidate is very good friends with the mayor, so maybe it was, a very casual conversation, or I know that the application wasn't 12/14, the vote was 12/23. So I think that everybody, though, doesn't matter if you're a friend or not, their application should be thoroughly read. I run out of time.
Okay, thank you. So, Akhtar, I think actually this is one of Councilman Pointer's questions or discussion points, isn't it, about the vacancies on the boards and right? Right. So this is definitely an issue, and we want people to be applying for the boards. And we have applications back there on the table, but a lot of people aren't aware of what boards are and what vacancies there are. I like your idea about posting them in the Illuminator. I don't know how, I'm not sure how obsolete that might be by the time it gets out to the Illuminator, but I think that's a good idea. So Sonia, is there something more that we can do to publicize and to get the word out about not just the boards that exist or the committees or commissions that exist, but also the vacancies that are on there that would be easy to navigate for the average resident?
As I indicated to Mr. Nasser, it is on the website. I can certainly try to collaborate with the clerk's office about how to get it out there, or anyone else. So I will get back to you on that.
Okay. And then, Dr., you were asking something about the applications, digital, written, and I wasn't quite understanding what the question was on that. So if you can answer that.
So when you guys are voting, I know that there was something with Joe Bassoff way back when. I think it was for, I don't remember what it was for, I can't off the top of my head right now, but they were going to say that, no, we can't vote on it because he didn't have the papers to give to everybody the physical copy. Luckily, he had just enough copies at that moment.
Point of order,
I'm sorry.
just because it's a back and forth, and I think I can address the question that you're looking
Okay,
to get
please.
to.
Yes.
At the time, was in regards to the public advocate ordinance. As the council president, I was not provided the copy of what the ordinance was. So in order for me to actually see what it was, I asked for the physical copy of it. That was presented, and went forward. So it wasn't that digital versus paper. If there's no trace of it, then a physical copy needs to occur. We've had other instances where a digital copy has been sent out, but that was done prior to the meeting actually facilitating. So I hope that addresses the question that at hand.
Yes, thank you, Council Vice President. Thank you, Akhtar.
Thank you.
Okay.
Council President,
Yes.
I would like, Sonia, if we can have on the website the ability to post upfront. I do like the idea, and I think that was the point of the website update, that we can communicate with the residents, that instead of having it on the a specific link, but we can have it upfront and central.
It is. If you scroll, it's on the front, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, we can take this off.
We'll take it offline.
Okay. All right, thank you. Joyce?
Joy Ship, Edison, New Jersey. Starting off, I don't think people should talk to people in a mean tone when they're not allowed to speak. When you say back and forth, I don't care who it is, you shouldn't be mean to people.
Hold on one second, Joyce. Hold on. You're stopping.
I'm gonna have to go back to the old school because I'm having a problem with the computer.
Okay. All right. Okay? All right, continue. Sorry, Joyce.
Okay, with the tone. So I would like to ask for a copy of the annual debt statement from 2021 versus annual debt statement this year, which should be available by the end of February. If I can get that. And on a good note, I would like to applaud, because I've read a lot about domestic violence, I'd like to applaud Councilman Patil with his involvement in helping out with domestic violence the whole time I was up there. So thank you very much for that at all. And the library, I'd like to thank Timor Davis, when I was on the library board, who initiated the funding for the actual library. And I would say something about the bike path, because every day I go home, I'll be scared to ride a bike in Edison. I see like 2 accidents every day while I'm riding the street. I'll be terrified. It's a good thought, but I'll be very terrified. Now, if you do a deposition, is that under oath? Somebody would like to know, is that under oath? And if it's under oath, can you like lie and say you graduated from college or have a degree or something you don't have? Okay. Then my other question is about Edison Police Department is not civil servant. So how is their guidance and their governance related to the state? Okay, just for question. And I also, Comcast and Optimum, and a bunch of people are screaming and yelling because Comcast is just coming by, digging up their stuff and leaving stuff there at all. I still stay with Optimum because I got a good price. And let's see, the domestic violence, the bike path, library board. Okay, those are my questions that I would have at this particular time.
Joyce, can you just repeat the one about the Edison Police Department? What was your question about that?
I'm saying, since Edison Police Department is not civil servant, what is their jurisdiction in related to the state of New Jersey police?
Okay, all right, thank you. So Sonia, can you get for Joyce the annual debt statement for 2021 and 2025 when that becomes available?
All of the financial documents are on the website, and they go back to 2010.
Okay. And Counselor, Counselor, the question about depositions being under oath and the
Yes.
Edison Police Department.
Sure. Councilwoman, all depositions are under oath. You take an oath at the beginning, and if you if you willingly lie under oath, then you're subject to whatever penalties that could be, potentially perjury, I guess. As to your question about the police department, I'm going to do my best. The police department is subject to all applicable state law. There's oversight from the Attorney General's office as well as the County Prosecutor's office as well. So I hope that answers your questions. Even civil service only pertains to the practice of hiring and the rules governing your job once you're in that job. But I'm not sure. Some municipalities are civil service, some aren't. But both are subject to law, regardless of whether or not the civil service. Hopefully that answers them.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much. Yes, Finney?
Is the computer working again? All right, cool. Good evening, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity here to speak. But before I begin, I must address a critical issue that impacts us all, like our speaking time. For years, residents were given 6 minutes to voice our concerns, ask questions, and hold this council accountable. Now that time is being restricted, let's get this straight. It isn't about efficiency, it's about control. It's about silencing the very people who elected you. The Council President, Margot Harris, you have the power to restore the full speaking time. You can negotiate and push back and use your position to advocate for the people, but you choose not to. This is by design. It's not about leadership, it's about doing the bidding of Sam Joshi. He gets what he wants: less transparency, less accountability, and less of the people's voice is heard in this council. Margot, you have more power than you let on. If you truly respect the people of Edison, prove it. Don't be a figurehead for the mayor. Be a leader for the residents who put you in that seat. You said you like seeing your name on the Edison signs. Well, we don't like when members of the council speak for hours on end, but the people only get 4 minutes. Our voices, the people only get 4 minutes to voice our concerns. How is that right? Are we being treated as second-class citizens when you restrict our speaking time, but allow yourselves the luxury of endless discussion? You are showing us that our voices don't matter, and that only the council members' voices matter. That's not democracy. That's not leadership. I was speaking to Joe Coyle when he said he would like each of the council members to speak for 5 minutes. Each council member should have the same amount of time allotted to express their opinions like any other member of the public. If you get 5 minutes, we get 5 minutes. Otherwise, it should be 4 minutes, just like us. And let's talk about the treatment of those who dare to stand up against the system. Look at Christo. Time and time again, he has fought for the people, spoken out against corruption, and demanded accountability for that. He's being targeted, silenced, and disrespected. Or take Scalzo, where the chief poked his belly. You know the guy. All he wanted to do was simply talk to the chief. Instead of being heard, the chief tried to frame him for assault and lied multiple times about it. He was mistreated and pushed aside. This is the pattern in Edison. Challenge the power structure and you will be punished for it. Scalzo is actually putting together a more intricate report for internal affairs and professional standards. Chief Tom Bryan is actually not scared of Scalzo. It was all an act to create a narrative of chaos which disrupted the meeting, but the meeting was already over and it was actually interrupted by Nish Patel. And then let's not forget about Sonia and her actions when she lied in an official report about Christo. When I attempted to play evidence of Sonia fabricating false narrative that she actually started, Margot, you shut me down. That won't happen again. So when it's my time to speak, you must let me speak. When you said I would be removed, you said I would be removed if I didn't stop. Let's see how that plays out. It didn't go well last time when Joe Bassoff was removed for holding the flag, so I'm gonna play the video.
I'm sorry, excuse me, stop this time. I'm sorry, as I told you, Vinny, I can't allow this because this is under litigation, so I'm gonna ask you to stop. I'm gonna ask you to stop. If you don't stop and you don't, then I'm gonna ask you to sit down and forfeit your time. I'm gonna have to, seeing that you're not gonna do that, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Leave?
Yes, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. We've discussed this. Thank you.
I still have 25 seconds.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I'd like to finish.
Not with the video.
I have one paragraph left.
Okay.
And we have the police here to try and escort me out. That's crazy. Same thing that happened to Joel for exercising his right.
No one's escorting you out.
Free speech. The people of Edison deserve better. We deserve transparency, accountability, and a council that listens to us. I will continue to stand here speaking for the people, whether I'm allowed or not.
Thank you, Vinny. And Vinny, for the record, I agree with you about the restoring the time. I plan to bring it up again. I also agree with you that that failing that, then we do have to take a look at maybe restricting the council members' time of speaking. I agree with you 100%. So this will be back. It will be back. Okay, that's fine.
Council President?
Yes.
I'd like to comment.
Sure.
As far as cutting council members' time, I could tell you there is nothing more that this mayor would want but to limit my speech to 1 minute. Okay, because I'm the one that brings up all of the items that are inappropriate here. So yes, please don't dare him. He does have 4 votes on this council, and they could possibly do it. And I would hate not to be able to speak until June 10th when the election is over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
Just 2 remarks. First, that was an item that was brought up to the subcommittee. Subcommittee turned it down. And since Robert's Rules is generally mentioned in this chamber, Robert's Rules says for any debatable item that the time limit for anyone up here is actually 10 minutes. So I invite anyone that is interested to check that out. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, Lefty?
Edward Lefty Grimes, sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey fighting for disability rights and cannabis patients' rights. I love political theater. Don't you? I really do. I'm very good at political theater. I've been to hundreds and hundreds of council meetings all over New Jersey. But today I'm not here for political theater. I want to tell you a little story. My father was in Vietnam. He was a CB in Vietnam. A CB is the guy that builds stuff. They build bridges, they build things. And he was in Vietnam. And he was in prison in Vietnam. And when he came home from Vietnam, he had PTSD. And, everyone spit on him when he came home and all that. And we all know the story. And with his PTSD, he wound up shooting himself in the head and spent the rest of his life in a wheelchair because he lived after shooting himself in the head. So when you say that some vets give all give some give all, my dad gave it all. He gave it all for you guys. And what I saw here a few months ago, when you guys disrespected disabled vets by making them go up that side of a mountain, that was really, really hit home for me, because, you know, that was really disgusting, and I'm not going to unsee that. Councilman Brescher, did you ever get an answer from the BA about the ADA compliance paperwork?
I'll answer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to get that answer, because I know the answer. The answer is no, because no engineer is going to put their name on a ADA qualified ramp, because it's got to be 1 inch per foot, and that's way more than 1 inch per foot. And that was in the rain. You did that to disabled people 2 times in the rain. And so I bring this wheelchair every time I come here. I'm going to bring this wheelchair, and I'm going to ask the people that conspired, I'm going to call it a conspiracy, to close the handicap access. Let's review what happened. The handicap access was closed for 2 meetings because of the flag ban and the turmoil from that. So you decided to hurt disabled vets and block off their access. The chief blocked off the access with barricades and police cars. So disabled people, a woman with 1 leg, had to walk up that hill. No railing, no lighting. It was terrible. So yeah, I'll be here with this wheelchair until one of you goes up that ramp. The chief's not here. I'm going to bring it back for the chief, because I want the chief to go up. The city attorney, Burns, was here in your place. Well, will you take Burns's place? Will you go up that hill in that wheelchair? Will you do it? You know, this is... and tell the chief that video of the belly bump is almost up to 2 million views, and I'm willing to archive it, because I'm not here for hits. I don't even make money off that stuff. I'm not monetized. I'll archive that video because I'm here for awareness. I want the chief to go up in that wheelchair and see a slice of what disabled people have to go through. Not even a slice, but a small, teeny, tiny bit of what disabled people have to go through in this world. And I want maybe some of you all to go through it, to take that wheelchair up that hill. Do it in the cold. We had to do it in the rain. Do it in the cold. So that's why I do what I do. And I'm in a lot of pain today. I wish this was a Zoom meeting, because I'm in a lot of pain. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. I yield my 5 seconds.
Thank you, Lefty. Councilman Brescher, we had this discussion yesterday about the ADA.
Yes, I didn't see a letter from the engineer on the ADA ramp. The reason why we're requesting it, and maybe the attorney can jump in here and help, been asking for weeks for ADA compliance on the ramp outside. The assertion's been made, and I tend to agree wholeheartedly with the public, that what happened that evening was the chief of police and administration conspired to shut off the only ADA access, which would be the elevator down on the first floor, to force Edison residents and citizens of the United States that came that day to stand outside in the rain until minutes before the meeting. So we were told that the ramp was ADA compliant. I did ADA work for 30-something years in Manhattan. I watched the Ethical Culture Society, right, be sued. I watched the disability group in New York City basically shut down the whole, forgetting the name of the organization there, history preservation for ADA. So I was told that we were going to get a letter from the engineer saying it was compliant. I have yet to see it. I'd like to have somebody go out there and actually see what it should be, to help, you know, so that we, whoever in the public is looking to, you know, push this forward, they can get it forward. So can you maybe get that information for me?
Certainly, I'll look into it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, everyone. I'm Larry Deutschman, 25 Hawthorne, 892 Amboy Avenue, Edison. I don't have any paperwork. I respect everything that you guys do, but as an Edison taxpayer, I'm very concerned about this recreation debacle. I think Councilman Richard Brezhner actually announced that we should have had some kind of third party or hand in this. It going from $5 million to $11 or $12 million, and it has to be done by October of this year? Why? Why did you allow that to happen? That's my concern. How could you let something double and you approve it? And why does it have to be done by October? Duh, November is the election, right? So I'm just voicing off my opinion as an Edison taxpayer, an Edison resident, no paperwork, nothing, just to say it doesn't make any sense. Why do we have to pay double, and why does it have to be done by October?
Sonia?
Council President, I didn't understand the question. I don't have a response.
The question, why does it, I think the question was, why does it have to be done by October?
Why does what have to be done?
But I think that we're talking about is it the Toth Center or the sports?
No,
The sports.
He didn't say.
Yeah, but that's pretty much implied.
I can explain it.
Yeah.
Actually, for the children need it in August. Come November, the children can't use the facility any longer. Well, they can't use it till the following season, predominantly. It was designed for the football and cheerleading squad. The reason why they got that October date was because of the delays. So the contractor put a request in for X amount of days, and the days brought him out to like October, to get us there. And those were because of the delays that basically happened because of poor design or mismanagement at the beginning of the project, where it lingered, and the public just found out now. We had a similar instance where we had a school, I believe, I think it was James Monroe, where while they were building the school, they had delays and delays and delays, and they notified the public of like a 6 months delay, and it was a couple months before the project was supposed to be done. I've always advocated that council should be updated on a monthly basis to see that we're making the schedules and deadlines, because we approve funding. So, but, right, we don't get that. The township administration, they manage everything. That's their job, right? If they do a great job, you vote them back in. If they do a poor job, you vote them out. That's how I kind of always looked at it. But yes, it's a debacle. We are going to even spend more money, and we're going to have questions later on here that I believe are going to be affiliated with that same sports complex, but we'll get to that a little later.
The only thing I have to say is I'm an Edison resident from the 80s. I grew up in Woodbridge Township. I attend the Woodbridge Community Center every day. Why do they have it down pat? And that project was done, and it's incredible, and they make tons of revenue.
Sir, your time is up. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we can't.
Thank you. Sue?
Hello, Sue Malone Barber, Pleasant Avenue. I also have questions about the affordable housing. Council said that the immunity exists through June. What is that immunity from? That's one question. And then I think it's after that, developers can swoop in and do what they want. if we haven't proposed anything. So you also said we will be proceeding under the old law. Doesn't the old law, isn't the old law superseded by the new one? Okay, you can explain that. And then so many townships and municipalities have pushed back on this, that the state has, they're putting affordable housing on everywhere. And many have written a proposal that said this is what we think is reasonable. How come we haven't done that? And do we plan to do that before June? Considering if June is the date that we're going to be in trouble. Okay, those are my questions.
Okay, thank you. Counsel?
Thank you. Okay, so your first question, I believe, was what is it immunity from? It's from a builder's remedy lawsuit. So no builder's remedy lawsuits can be filed prior to June. We still have that immunity. Before June or around that time, we will file our own declaratory judgment action, which will extend that immunity while the courts decide what is the appropriate plan. So instead of, what the new law allows you to do is you can proceed under both. You can proceed with the DCA number and then fight about that, or you can bring your own action. And what you do at that time, instead of doing the two-part process, which is what this law does, it says come up with a number, then come up with a plan. What we're doing is we're going to file an action and then come forward with the number and plan together at one time. So at no point will we be subject to builder's remedy lawsuits because we will file that action in advance of our immunity ending in June, or sometime in June. I don't have the exact date for you, but it's in the month of June. Hopefully that answers your questions.
Okay.
And then the other one was about the new law superseding the old law?
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
he
No,
answered
you can proceed under both.
operate under one or the other.
Right.
I think it's
Kind
still.
of the way the Amboy Avenue zoning was.
Okay.
I understand that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
Just to clarity with our attorney. Is it an option where we have certain low-income housing that could be falling off the market and turning to market rate, and as opposed to us having to build whatever 600 units, we could negotiate to keep those for an additional 20
I have one more
years?
question. Just stop the clock.
yeah,
One more question, it's really quick. I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, Rich.
Go ahead, Sue.
Do you want me, do you want me to
No,
address
it's
that first? or-
I'm sorry.
No, let Sue
I
continue.
didn't want it to run out.
Go ahead.
So just one more question about Amboy Avenue and the repaving. I think, Ajay, you know about this. Can you talk to that a little bit? Do we have the funds there? Where are the funds in the budget to repave because the sewers are kind of sunk in?
Council President,
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
That's it.
Are you
That's
done?
my question.
Okay. Yes.
this is the discussion line item, so I'll be asking series questions on that topic. This is the discussion item for me.
Okay. Councilman Brescher, did you want to continue?
I can answer your question if you.
Okay.
Yes, it was a question for the attorney,
Okay.
administration,
Yes, Councilman, if there are deed-restricted properties that are set to expire, that is one way to meet your affordable housing requirement is by extending those deed restrictions on those affordable units. But I'd have to look at them individually to see if that's a possibility.
Right, is that something that we would be looking into?
Certainly, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Rob, did you have your hand up? Yeah, go ahead.
Rob Cantos, 61 Meadow. Just some clarification from the attorney. Why wasn't he allowed to play that recording? I mean, I have pending litigation against the township. I'm free to speak about it up here. I know other people back here have pending litigation against the township too. We can come up here and talk about it all we want. Is there a reason why he can't play that video?
Yeah. We'll just let's have
Ask
you-
all your questions, and then
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
respond.
Yeah, no, my basic question is under what theory I was at a council meeting, the last council meeting, and somebody played an audio recording. Does it matter what the context is, the subject matter of it? That's all I got.
Counsel?
Sure. I think there's a couple of reasons why it would be impermissible to play a video. I think the first, and obviously this is all subject to the council president's discretion, so one is first, if you allowed to just play recordings on your phone, you're not really providing any public comment. This is time for the public to speak on matters of importance and engage with the governing body. So there's certainly an argument to be made that just sitting there playing recordings on your phone is not meeting the requirement of public comment. Secondly, this matter is a matter of that is currently in the courts, and the council president has made the decision that we are not going to interfere in that. We're going to let that process play its course, and the council president has decided that we're going to let that matter play out in the courts and not here at the council meeting. That is her discretion to do so. She's the council president. She presides over this meeting, and she's able to make that decision if she thinks it's in the best order of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment? Yes, Anthony.
Anthony Dameron, Wiley Ave. First question, I guess it would be to the deputy chief, if that's okay. I was just curious to know, do we break down the crime statistics, I guess, per, where the hot times are, and maybe what part of town they're in, and really, dive into where the crime is. I mean, crime is up pretty big over the last few years, so compared to 4 years ago. So I was just curious to know, do we look into those even deeper? Because I just look, public safety is a major concern. It's a major concern for everybody. It should be number one concern here for residents, I believe. So I'm just looking for ways to help, combat this crime. So if we have an idea of when and where these crimes are happening, then maybe we can target those times more directly. So you could put maybe a task force or something like that and hit. You want basically. I would say I would love to have, fully staffed police officers plus 20. That's where I go with it. But we can't do that. That's not realistic. So the idea then would be just get as many cars on the road as possible, I would think, right? So you would want as many marked cars for traffic, for crime scene, for all the different units, just to get cars driving. I love seeing police cars out when I'm home or around town. It makes me feel comfortable. It does. It makes me feel safer. So those are the things I'm just thinking outside the box. I'm just curious to know if those are things, or those types of statistics and ideas are being discussed. That's what auxiliary. Are we using auxiliary as much as possible as well? So that's my first, I guess, part of my questions. And the second one is, I was just curious, do we know if any of those individuals, illegal immigrants that were busted in over the last several years, countless number of illegal immigrants, have been deported? Do we know where they are? Are there any updates? The mayor was very adamant when he finally came out after 2 years and admitted that that was going on, and he said that he would send them back to Texas or Mexico. Well, you have a person in the White House now that's actually being proactive. ICE is going around deporting people. Or do we know where these people are? Have they been deported? Do we have any updates on any of those illegal immigrants that came to that were dropped off at the boat docks over the past 3 years? I was just looking for an update on that. And that's it, I think. Thank you, Council President.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Chief, the first question is about the crime stats, and is there a breakdown?
Good evening, everyone. So in terms of crime stats, we do keep UCR crime stats, which is, those are more significant crimes. We do keep tabs on those. Monthly stats are accrued, and we do look at more specifically where these crimes are occurring, dates, times, time of day, areas of town. So yes, we can allocate resources accordingly to deal with those. So that is being done. Auxiliary also, you mentioned that. We do have auxiliary that do extra patrols to augment our regular patrols as well, in addition to special events, parades, and all the other things that they do. So yes, they are being utilized as well.
Okay. His other question was about the status of the immigrants, and do we know where they are, the ones who had been bused here?
Well, we did have buses coming to the train station back a couple of years ago. Those buses were in fact heading towards New York City. I don't know of any illegal immigrants that were dumped, if you will, or dropped off in Edison at that time. If he has more information on that, maybe that would be helpful. But those were destined for New York City at the time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public comment and move to number 5, reports from all council.
Motion to close the public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, got to make a motion.
Second.
Motion, sorry. Okay. Motion to close?
Second.
Okay, good, thank you. We start with reports from council committees. Councilman Brescher?
Yes. Unfortunately, I did not make my library board meeting. I'm going to update that with a double one for the next one because I have to watch the meeting because there were things that did transpire. My thought was since we didn't have our meeting, I didn't have anything to report to the library, but the library still has something that we have to report back to this body. So I'll be correcting that and making sure I'm there.
Anything else?
As far as the Veterans Committee, we have a meeting, I believe, set up with the business administrator, Sonia, tomorrow, where we're going to go through the mechanisms and the process of getting that presentation to fruition. So myself and Sue are going to be there tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. Council Vice President?
Thank you, Council President. The Environmental Commission had a meeting last Thursday, which I attended, particularly on a couple of policy items. They are in support of the bamboo ordinance that is on the agenda for today and for hopeful introduction on Wednesday. I discussed with them the environmental impact study ordinance that I'm looking to have the administration review, which I know I've submitted that and is on my discussion item. And we are looking to further update the tree ordinance to update regulations pertaining to how trees are calculated and how they would be planted. Outside of that, they are working on a couple of events, environmental Earth Day with a health, in conjunction with a health event is figured for July, and that's about it for the moment. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you very much. Councilman Patel?
None at this time.
Okay, Councilman Patil?
None at this time.
All right, Councilman Schmuel is not there. Okay, I will give my report from the Cultural Arts Commission, which was February 11th. And we, first of all, we had the votes for the renewing the chair, vice chair, and secretary. So we renewed the term of Tony Massaro as chair, vice chair Lois Tarr, and secretary Christine McCann. We discussed the upcoming terms, the expiration of terms with several that are expiring actually next month on the 13th. And we need an official email to Mayor Joshi and a CC to the clerk to renew the terms. We were talking about adding Don Tarr as an alternate number 1. And we have 3 people whose terms expire a year from March in 26, and we have 4 people whose terms expire on March 13th of 27. We are at a real crossroads in this commission, and we feel that our hands have been tied to a great extent because we are not participating in the Middlesex County Jazz Festival, and it's not real clear where this jazz festival is going. The mayor indicates that he feels that we as a township can do it better. we're going to see about that. But we're feeling kind of hamstrung by that. We're feeling hamstrung with regard to the Ferrante House, although I got the good news from the BA yesterday that actually the Ferrante House is not dead in the water. Their work will start there again sometime in the late spring, early summer. So there is that. But we're feeling frustrated because we feel like we are playing small ball, and we would like to do some big things, and we're happy to do some of the smaller things, but we are going to have there's going to be a meeting with the mayor next month to discuss what the future of this commission is and what we can get done. The gallery display next month will be for Women's History Month. And let's see if there's anything else. Next meeting will be March 11th, and we'll be having the interim DPW Director, Tony Costa, join us with that, and inviting Mayor Joshi and Bob Deal, because it's going to be our anniversary of having become a commission. So that is my report. Let's go on to points of light. Anyone have points of light? Yes?
President,
Councilman Patel?
I had the honor to attend the construction beginning of the North End Library, the main North Library, and it was very exciting. I'm super looking forward to 4,000 extra square feet that we will have for the residents. For me, libraries have always been important. That are the place that I learned to speak English. That's the place where I learned a lot of things that I still use today. And I hope that we can build a library that will carry on for the next generation and give them something insightful from there.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other points of light? Okay, I just want to get back to you, Councilman Shmuel. You weren't here when we were talking about the council committees. Were there any committee reports?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we move on to from the business administrator. Any comments or questions? All right, seeing none. We move to the Department of Finance. I suspect there will be questions and comments about this. Questions and comments about the Department of Finance.
Council President, if I could go last so I'm not accused of speaking for 10 minutes, maybe my colleagues will cover some of my items.
I think that's a good plan. I like that. All right, Council, any questions about number 8, Department of Finance?
Council President?
Councilman Patil.
Question on D. I think we are referring this to the packet that we have handy here. The first thing, there is a typo meeting on 266/2025. If we can correct that, hopefully it is 226 or 26th of February 2025. The subject date is incorrect. But this temporary appropriation, is this for the next quarter combined together, or?
It generally covers a third of the 2024 budget.
Correct, but it's 1/3 of what, first quarter, or it is the second quarter?
The year, it's the year.
It's 1/3 of the year, so this is 1/3 of the year. So the question there, if we look at the salaries, on mayor, it says 9,000 something somewhere, if I look at. Is that the correct number there? If you scroll through, it's right on the third page. Mayor's salary, 9,986. If it is 1/3, is it that's what I was asking question, is 1/3 of the quarter, 1/3 of what?
No, that would be in addition to what was already done. So if you look at the both lines, the temporary budget, so look at those.
Okay, so in fact, I would have preferred this document to be prepared a little differently because it's a summary. It says 9,986.
Do you have the backup that was submitted?
Yeah, this one.
Yes.
Yes, I do. But again, the numbers are different. If it says the heading, this is in addition to what you see, but the heading is 2025-02 budget emergency appropriations. So I got the number of business admitter salary, everything is fine. But that's kind of caught my eyes here. So that number looks a little different. Same thing is for the council salary. Is that in addition to what we have? And I have a question on what is those other expenses for council, $9,000?
So Councilman, in January, council adopted a temporary budget, which was generally provided around 26% of the 24 budget to get us through the first couple of months. So the $9,986 you're referring to under mayor's salaries and wages, that's then in addition to what was appropriated in January, bringing the total to approximately $47,000, which will take us to 1/3 of the year.
33%.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So generally, all the temporary emergency appropriations will take us operationally through the end of April. However, there are some items that are greater than 33% because of the timing of our obligations, such as pension payments. We're required to pay those to the state 100% on April 1st. We have lease payments due on police cars, insurance payments due for our liability insurance, et cetera. So there's certain things where you'll see the funding is greater than 33%.
Understood, because those are the heavy payments. We do it early on the year because of
Exactly.
those are obligations to us. Yes,
Exactly.
understand. So net, these numbers are to bring the budget appropriation to 33% or 33.33% technically. Is that correct? Okay.
Correct. That's the objective.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Council President.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have questions about 8? All right, Councilman Brescher?
Okay. Right, so just for the record, we had a resident that asked about getting the budget done early. Sonia, can I get the budgets from the dates that they were introduced to the council from the Mayor Resigliano?
I think the town clerk would be able to get those for you since they were adopted by resolution.
Cheryl, can I get them? Because that'll be a discussion item for next meeting.
So you want to know when under Mayor
Resigliano, yes, when she introduced the budget. She had 4 years, and 4 years they did it. I mean, I understand when you say that you've done it for 3 years. Just because you've done it doesn't make it right. Just because the past administration did it didn't make it right. So that's why I'm going back to what Resigliano did, because I heard that actually she ran a tight ship at that time. But questions here. So this budget here, this will pay us for January, February, March, and April. But,
Yes, essentially.
okay, but we're going to approve the budget March 1st?
No,
We're
no.
gonna
It would
get
be
the
the
budget?
second meeting in March
So
to be
roughly March.
introduced. That does
March
not mean that,
15th,
I'm sorry.
right?
Let me know when you're done. I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay. Yes, I said March 15th, I guess roughly is when we would approve it. So this gets us January, February, March, and all of April. So you have a little bit of extra money in there in case you have a problem to get you through to April is the presumption here, right?
Right. We would be introducing a budget. And then following that, we would be adopting a budget. So you may have, at some point, I can't, it has happened in the future here. We may have another temporary emergency appropriation. It's not uncommon. But first, we're going to introduce the budget.
Okay. All right, so that's why we end up just going to April for the 33%.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the public employees retirement system, we have to make that full payment by April 1,
Yes, sir.
and that would be for their retirement benefits for the employees of the township for the entire year?
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you a question then. Let's say that we have any employee and we make the full payment on April 1 to the state, and then the employee retires April 15th. do you have to go back and claw that money back from the state? What's the process on that?
That's a good question. The bill that we're receiving and paying on April 1st of 2025 is based upon the actuarial experience of the township, actual actuarial experience from 2023. So if somebody retires in 2025, that would be reflected in the bill that we get from the Division of Pensions in 2027.
Okay, so then this is really like old money.
Correct.
Old bills. Okay. The health insurance. That was something that we talked about last year, about that going up. Do we have an idea what that is anticipated to go up this year? We're self-insured, so I do understand that, you know, it is what it is, but the rates for each procedure and stuff, I heard was increasing.
So we're estimating, our risk manager would like to see us go up in the 8 to 10% range. Our experience has been decent. The new level of benefits and changes that administration effectuated through contract negotiations has helped and kicked in, and better surveillance by our risk manager has helped to keep claims more reasonable, if you will. So we are actually, I want to say this without the, we're actually in acceptable condition. I don't want to say anything else other than that, but acceptable condition in the self-insurance fund. And we feel that what we're going to budget or propose to be budgeted this year, that it will be financially sound.
Okay. And let me just jump down then to the insurance and surety, because I guess we have liability coverage. You're expecting increases in these numbers also?
Yes, largely liability insurance has increased significantly over the past 2 years. And again, we have to make disproportionate payments. It's not monthly, so we pay a big payment in January and also in May. So we have to make sure our funds are available because we can't afford any slippage, because otherwise we'll lose our insurance coverage.
And you can't, have you gotten pricing to see what that would be if you paid it all at once, or you paid it monthly or quarterly?
They don't give us that option. This is through the JIF.
Well, okay, listen, I'm not telling you where to shop. What I'm saying is, so you're telling me that nowhere in the state of New Jersey I could get a policy for a municipality that could be paid on a quarterly basis, or upfront?
Oh, I'm sure we can get a policy, but we found from experience that the liability and workers' comp insurance coverage that we get from the JIF is significantly more reasonable than anything we could obtain from third-party insurers.
Okay, so you've done the analysis and you have that?
Our risk manager shops it, every 2 years?
Yeah, every 3 years, technically, because it's a competitive contract, too. They shop around. They do all of the bidding for us.
All right, I'll look at that, because I think you might be able to get savings there. And now, question, I looked over here, we have bond principal expenses and bond interest expenses, where we're showing here at about 106% and 92%, and bond anticipated notes and interest of 166%. Just question overall, we have bonds, we have interest, right? I understand we have to pay that, but here we're front loading it, we're paying the interest at the beginning of the year. So that would be like me paying my mortgage interest on January 1 for the entire year?
Not quite. We're required by state law to appropriate the full amount of our debt service for the year. We did that technically back in December. Council adopted a resolution establishing the 2025 debt service budget.
And there's no provision for that, because the budget like Mr. Bassoff spoke about, right? There is something in the budget where it says it should be done in January. It's probably tied into this same provision here.
It's similar, but we don't make all the payments in January. Payments are made throughout the year. We're just required to have the budget appropriation and funding in place in December preceding the year following.
Preceding, okay.
So December 2024, we appropriated debt service for the full year of 2025 in compliance with state law.
Okay, and how come we're like 166%? How does that
That's
happen?
as a percentage of what was appropriated in 2024.
Oh, so it's just an increase in appropriations over the time.
Correct.
Okay, that would be it. Thank you.
Anything else for number 8 from Department of Finance? Okay, moving on to 9, the Department of Planning and Engineering. Comments or questions? Okay. Yes?
Question.
Okay.
The milling for Woodland Avenue and Old Raritan Road. Can somebody explain to me what this really is? I mean, I read it, I kind of seen the contract, I just don't understand what's ours and what's theirs technically.
So it would reach our portion we're responsible for. So according to the county's cost estimate, it's about 60,000. That's what we would be responsible for.
What part's ours and what part is theirs? That's the part that I couldn't discern.
You would like to know where the street?
Where the line would be, or the street, or half a street, whatever that designation is. Like I know Oak Tree Road, right, is like a county road. I thought Woodland was one of our roads.
So my understanding, and I'll check that for you, up to Oak Tree Road, Woodland back, sort of like where the Ferranti house is, that's our portion. And then past Oak Tree Road would be South Plainfield.
Okay. Yeah, if you can just give me that designation there. That would be it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else for number 9? Okay. Department of Public Works, number 10.
Yes, question doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I got $50,000 at a dollar amount, right? And then I have, well, first of all.
Excuse me, Councilman Brescher, which one, are you on B?
Oh, B and C.
Okay.
I'm going to tie them together because we're all talking about rock salt.
Okay.
How much salt do we normally use every year in our budget? I thought it was somewhere around 200,000 or 250,000, actually, I thought. From prior times.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question? What the 50 references?
Well, the first question, I guess, is how much salt do we typically use in a year? 250,000? I thought that was something.
More or less, I think we did 200,000.
Okay, so we ordered rock salt, right? But now we need an emergency rock salt for 50,000 at, I don't have the numbers right here, but.
That's based off the prior year's contract.
Right, and now, so for the 50,000, right, there's a dollar amount per ton. And then what's the dollar amount difference for the 200,000? Because there were two numbers in there, right? And one number matched the $50,000 number, and the other was a couple dollars more a ton.
So the rates do change from year to year, if that's probably what you're referencing? Week to week?
Yeah. Let's see if I have the other one here. Come back over. That's here. And okay, so right, so we have the one for the $50,000, in that one there, you have $59.74 a ton
Correct.
for $50,000, which we need as an emergency type thing, right? I get that. But then for the same company, on the $200,000 one, I have $59.74, which is the exact same number as the $50,000 one.
I don't know what you're referencing, but the two are different.
Okay, so here, let me just read it. For the B, for $50,000 one, it says, whereas Morton Salt at 444 West Lake Street, Suite 3000, Chicago, Illinois, is awarded state contract to deliver rock salt, bid number B24560, in the amount of $59.74 a ton. That's for the $50,000 rock salt.
Right.
Now, I go to the $200,000 rock salt, right? And it says, whereas Morton West Lake Street, 3000 Chicago, is awarded this contract as a primary vendor in the amount of $59.74 per ton, which is the exact same number of the one before. But then you also add in another
Contract.
vendor
Right.
for $62.15 per ton. Why do we have the $50,000 one in there when the $50,000 guy is inside the next one for $200,000 for the exact same price?
Right, so let me just clarify that again. They're two separate contracts. The $50,000 one references a resolution that was previously adopted back in '24. So we were still under that contract. That contract was still good up until, I'll get you the exact date. Okay, following this coming year, let's say later in the year, maybe we'll have a one-off October, November. We're talking about that. That's what this second resolution references. And under the Middlesex County Co-op, there are two vendors. This is a fall safe, so having two vendors versus one is good for us. We had a lot of storms, as you've seen, in the recent month. So we've used a lot more salt than we anticipated. So therefore, 160 was the original resolution. We're adding 50,000, so that's 210. What we're budgeting for this year's contract, okay, in the later year, let's say, would be 200,000. Barring, if we had a similar season, then we'd be spending more or less about the same.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that this first one for 50,000, you're just going to try and use your funds left over from last year. The new one for the 200,000 is what you're going to use for next year.
Correct.
So you just made two, that's why you made two separate ones, but the dollar amount is the same per ton.
Yeah, from a purchasing standpoint, we have to do them separately that way.
Okay. All right, that one's good. And E, the 400,000 for the plumbing. What could we possibly be needing to do $400,000 worth of plumbing for?
So this covers all, we do this on a yearly basis. It covers all of our municipal buildings, all of our public buildings. So we do have in-house work that we can do, and we've continued to do. If you look on the memo, we're adding Stelton Community Center, so we're hoping to get some work done there. But generally speaking, it covers all of our buildings on a yearly basis.
So so we have $400,000 in plumbing we used last year. That's what we use.
More or less, yes.
Can I get a list of all the projects and the work that they billed for?
For all plumbing, sure.
For the $400,000 that they spent last year, or they're close to it? Can I get that for tomorrow before our meeting on Wednesday?
We'll get your report.
All right, thank you. That would be it, Council President.
All right, on to Department of Water and Sewer. Questions, comments? Okay, seeing none. From the Township Clerk, any questions or comments about the ordinances, liquor license, or resolution of February's Black History Month?
Council President?
Yes.
Thank you for adding the, recognizing the February as a Black History Month. This was the 11th hour, but thank you for accommodating the request.
Oh, absolutely. It's long overdue. It's long overdue. I would just like to say that I'm really happy about, this was Councilman Pointer's ordinance about Adopt an Area program. I think this is a wonderful program, and I would love to see a lot of people get involved in making this, making our surroundings more attractive and getting rid of litter and doing some pruning and things like that. So I think this is a great idea. I'd also, with regard to the bamboo ordinance, I want to thank Brenda Eagle, who was persistent and really wonderfully persistent in getting this on here. Bamboo is very invasive, and so this is going to be a positive step. Anyone else about Township Clerk? Okay. Yes.
I was just going to say, the bamboo ordinance, right? Well, it seems frustrating with the emails and the follow-ups. She did a phenomenal job of making sure that everybody was kind of on top of it. And there were a lot of things to consider. I know myself and my council colleague, we talked about different ways to kind of take this. But I think this is important. I think it's good. I've seen bamboo that's been really overgrown in areas, and it becomes invasive to nature, to their neighbors, you know what I mean? And so I think this is a good thing for us to kind of put up here and straighten out. And I appreciate Councilman John Pointer's help with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
I do want to also mention the Adopt an Area program. I think it's a great initiative that Councilman Pointer has started. And I think it'd be great for any businesses that want to take care of their neighborhood, especially to create an attractive area. And it will also help them market down the road, from what I believe. So I think it's a great initiative. Thank you, Councilman Pointer.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
I'll save the majority of the comments for the introduction, but I do appreciate you adding that to the agenda, for your persistence as well, adding the bamboo ordinance onto the agenda, and Councilman Patil for your desire for the Black History Month resolution. I appreciate that. Thank you, Council President.
Council President, only I have one question on the bamboo ordinance. It's great that finally it is coming to the reality. Hopefully with this council support with 7-0. What happens to someone who has already planted bamboos? I have seen many houses in the north end of the town. They have bamboos like a fence, and they're probably 10, 15 feet tall, and they're growing. So what happens, like, is it grandfathered, or will enforce to change it, or how that would work? Maybe question to attorney.
Councilman Pointer, Council Vice President, did you have an answer for that?
I believe it's grandfathered. I would defer to legal on that. I know the issue because it spreads through the root, right? So it's not, it's a little tougher to contain in that aspect. So I don't know if there's a way to actually restrict any of the previous, but to your direct question.
I think the councilman's correct. I'll take a closer look at that. I have an answer for you on Wednesday, but I have to defer. I have to agree with the councilman.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Council member to the planning board is not here tonight, so we move on to unfinished business. Any council comments on the ordinance about adding residential parking zone to a section of Chapel Street? Okay, seeing none. We go on to discussion items, and Councilman Brescher, I will start with you.
All right, and this, I guess I'm going to go to the attorney. Number one, fire alarm. I was looking for an update on our fire alarm systems in our buildings. And when I say that, I mean like any and all reports, if something's under repair, right? When the contract was given, where we are in the process of that. You know, so like if you said that we're going to change, whatever, 20 smoke heads, how many are done right this very second, kind of thing?
I want to make sure I understand, because I'm smoke alarms that you want me to get a report on smoke alarms?
Yeah.
Fire alarms?
Right. Or fire
in public buildings?
Yeah, in our township public buildings, yeah.
Okay.
Sonia does know about it, but I'm just trying to get that like reports, so I understand where I am status-wise and everything.
Okay.
Council President, our fire chief is here and has been working with DPW on, so he may have an update for Councilman, if that's acceptable.
Yes, Chief?
With the fire alarm system in Town Hall, I'm given an expected date end of March or beginning of April. I've been speaking with the acting DPW director. If you walk around, you'll see all the smoke detectors with the orange caps on them. They're not in this room, and they're also putting the strobes in there too. As they're doing it, I added 52 regular smoke detectors, and at each elevator on both sides and down in the basement, there's 10-year sealed CO detectors, because it says in the code if you decrease the efficiency of your system, you could add more. But the projected time frame for this building is in the beginning of April, end of March. I know they're working daily on it. I don't know about weekends, but I know they're working daily. There's a big crew in here, whoever the contractor is.
All right, Chief, I'd like to see their, do they sign in when they come here? I'd like to see their manpower reports.
I would have to go through administration to DPW for that, because that's who they report to.
Whatever you need to do to get me it, I'm happy. Where I'm going, what I'm not happy about was you telling me April. Okay, I actually find that unacceptable. So that's why I'm looking for their manpower reports, when they started, how many men they had each day. You know, I mean, if they got 3 guys, you might think that's a lot. I don't think it's enough for them to take care of this town. I think they can actually have this done mid-March, and we're at the end of February at this point. So if you can just get me those, I'd appreciate it.
Understood. With the administration, I'll go through DPW.
Thank you. To the attorney, that's what I'm looking for. Holidays. And I brought this up before, and I'm going to bring it up every year. This township has some kind of bizarre holiday schedule, and I do understand it's contractual. They have like Lincoln's birthday and Washington's birthday when no one else on the planet has those days. And I've spoken to many employees about it, and we have Juneteenth. I don't think that's a holiday here. I would like to see if there's a way to swap one of those for Juneteenth. And the reason why I say something like that is they have these 2 holidays, and they're like right after each other and in the middle of winter. I don't think people need those 2 holidays. I don't think anybody wants those 2 holidays then, but they might appreciate them when the weather is a little nicer. So,
Councilman Berger, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that Juneteenth is a holiday.
is it a holiday now?
Is it, it's not?
No. No.
Oh, okay, all right.
So for the people that celebrate it, it would be nice. For the people that don't celebrate
Yeah.
it, right? They're going to give up a day in the winter for a day in the summer, and it seems like everybody's a fan of that. It's just a matter of like speaking to the unions, right?
The end of the contracts is 2027. We've already negotiated all of that.
Well, no, I understand that, but when I was on the school board, I don't know, what do they call that, a sidebar or something like that, to open up a discussion about changing a holiday date or something. There's a mechanism for it. I don't know the exact
Sure, I
terminology.
mean, but both parties would need to, they would both want to, in order to reopen a contract, both parties would have to agree to do so.
Right. So, right, that was my other thing. I mean, I would recommend asking. None of the unions have told me that they've been asked. Okay, that's enough. Holiday. Accusation, right, ADA, we're going to get that information. Crime. Yes, crime is very important. Like I said, under this administration, crime has went up 72%. I know our chief has showed me data in the past, so they do know where crime takes place. But I've always advocated for our police department. I've talked to the chief numerous times about this. Is giving the public a heads up and a notice. Because if we know about it, then we're looking for things, right? If we don't know, we walk through life blindly like victims. And this is hitting home, because I guess the chief probably knows there was an event at my next door neighbor's house. So this just happened after we had something on Roxy. So these events aren't stopping. They're not slowing down. It would be nice if my neighbors knew about Roxy, maybe they would have taken some different precautions or things of that nature. So again, I'm advocating for the public to know when and where these crimes are going. You send me Nixle alerts about a child that was taken possibly by their father or by their mother in Piscataway. But when somebody's breaking into a home, I don't get anything on that, except what I can find on Facebook. I said a couple years ago I should open up my own little Facebook thing that says, crimes of Edison, please report it here so we're aware of what's going on, so we could say something. So I'm going to plead again to please notify the public. And that would be it for my discussion items. Thank you, Council President.
Councilman. Council Vice President?
Thank you, Council President. Just a general follow-ups. I'm not expecting an answer now. Ordinances for consideration. I met with the administration in the beginning of January in regards to possible rezoning of LI areas in several areas of the township. I was told then that the turnaround time would be somewhere between 60 to 75 days. So just as a general follow-up, if I can get a status update at the next meeting. I also submitted a draft ordinance for environmental impact study. What this is that essentially if a application before one of our land use boards meets a certain criteria, they would have to provide a professional report that would address certain information. This could be anything from traffic impact, population impact, information on topography, geology, impact on our water infrastructure, wetlands, et cetera, which from a board perspective would offer additional information in their analysis of an application, which I think from a resident standpoint, it offers additional information so that the board can analyze it in the sense to make sure that if an application is approved, that conditions are set that protect the residents' interests. I'm going to skip over commissions and committees for vacancies. I do have a list of current vacancies I want to give out. Agenda on the website. Right now, our agendas are printed out in PDF format and placed on the website. If you go to the main website, though, there's actually the capability of the website to actually be translated into different languages. So my request to the administration is to see if there is a way that we can actually upload the agendas in HTML format on the website, because then anyone that visits the website would be able to use the drop-down and change the language of the agenda to their preferred language that they're used to. Is that something that we could maybe look at?
I can certainly take a look at that with the clerk's office. I guess I would ask. There may be an option when you're uploading, whether you want HTML. Oftentimes on the back end, there are options. So if you could just contact our office and we'll try to figure out if we can. There may be options there is what I'm saying. I've done that in the past myself, and on the back end, it does that for you.
And the underlying reason why I'm asking this is because we have a very diverse community, as we know, and English is not always a person's first language. So I'm just looking to offer opportunity for people that may not be engaged previously to become engaged in what we do up here at council. Planning and Zoning Board meeting guide. I put together about a 6-page, call it like a preliminary document that details what a planning board and a zoning board is. My request to the administration would be to put this on the planning and zoning website under engineering. I'll send a PDF copy for a Word document so that it can be translated for my previous note. But Again, another item just to try to get people information and better understanding as to how these boards function. And finally, commissions and committees, it's been requested for us to try to advocate and promote vacancies within boards that the township has. So a couple of vacancies that are, or expired terms that are available. Abilities Advisory Committee, Cultural Arts Commission, Environmental Commission, Ethics Board, Historic Preservation Commission. There is one more for the Library Board of Trustees, Open Space Advisory Committee, Planning Board, Redevelopment Agency, Smart City Advisory Committee, Veterans Memorial Committee, and the Zoning Board of Adjustment. There's still one alternative position that's available. Some other boards that are in our code but are not active include Senior Citizen Housing Agency, that's 2-98, Commission for the Disabled, 2-100, Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, 2-111, and Transportation Advisory Committee, 2-112. I think that these committees, if brought back to life, so to say, could offer valuable information, not only to us as a body up here, but to the administration on items of importance. Additionally, I know it's not formally formed yet, but Council President does want to set up the Resident Advisory Committee. So just another one that is out there. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, and thank you for letting us know what vacancies there are. That's very much appreciated. And if we can get that on the website, if we can get that maybe in the Illuminator, as Akhtar had said, and distributed to the public in a better way, that would be great. Okay, Councilman Patel.
Okay. The first one is the construction manager. This was something we talked about the last meeting, and we keep running into issues where we have a big project, and I think Councilman Brusher and pretty much everyone I believe everyone agrees that we do need an oversight. If there is a project that's over a certain number, I believe 5 million will be good. I did ask Sonia to provide us with an ordinance, and it was forwarded to legal. I did not hear anything from legal, so I asked ChatGPT to develop an ordinance for me, and I forwarded it to you guys. So I was wondering if that is something that we can work with.
I did receive it on Friday of last week. I would respectfully ask that I would like to have it follow the normal course of ordinance introduction at the next work session, as opposed to just walking it on at the next agenda. I think there are some policy considerations that I just begun a conversation with the business administrator. I'd like to bring you into those conversations as well. We can certainly have it, and as soon as we clear all those hurdles, we can have it on for the next meeting. But I would recommend not Wednesday, but the following meeting.
I'm okay with that. Can we set something up, and when can I be part of the conversation?
Absolutely. We'll set it up. We can set it up today and for...
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe we're having another $5 million project anytime soon, but I do want to not forget about this.
Absolutely. No, and it has not forgot. The business administrator and I spoke about it today, and we'd love to include you in that conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As for the bike racks, open space was, I think, the email I sent you in terms of open space, was interested in having bike racks in town building because we're going to have the bike tour in May. And I believe you got back to me, so I just wanted to out in public, if you can.
Sure. You had asked about making them non-permanent. However, our plan is to make them permanent. We don't want them to essentially be moved from certain locations, but they will be alongside Papiani Park. So.
Okay. Can we also have one near the skate park?
Skate park?
Yeah, because people who skate usually bike as well.
I understood. I will double check that if it's not already in the plan.
Okay. And then a couple of issues with the Inman Tingley Railway. Open Space was wondering if there was plans to have sidewalks and pedestrian improvements when we do the updates there.
Usually that is addressed, anything that needs to be ADA compliant.
Okay, so okay, I would assume yes.
Yes.
Okay. Also, committee members from Linden Lane reached out, and they were worried that the traffic lights would cause an issue for them to turn right onto Inman. I did talk to the engineer, and he has told us that at this point, they are still in the planning stage, and they will be communicating with the county to ensure that they'll take the right steps in the signal design, to adjust timing using force-off loops to have signal go green to clear the queue, and also include striping treatments and many other things to address Linden Lane's concerns. And they're hopeful that there will be minimal impact or no impact at all for Linden Lane's residents. And also wanted to follow up with the website idea that Councilman Pointer brought up. I wish we had the ability for a specific subject, like an ordinance or specific things, that if someone wanted to go back in history and click on it and understand how we ended up in that particular position, because I believe not everyone follows the council meetings dated every single week. So if there is an issue that they're interested in, I wish with the website updates that we're gonna hopefully put in, maybe we can put in the fact that, hey, I'm interested in this, can I follow this? And maybe we can send them updates as we move along. Like if you are on Linden Ave and you're interested in the Inman, Tingley, and Rahway traffic light, I wish there was a way for those residents to follow that. And as we move forward, they get updated through the website. And that is something that will, I believe, will increase engagement, and that would helpfully alleviate a lot of the issues that the residents have where they feel like they're in the dark and they're not getting enough information. So I think maybe we can look into doing that. I know we have a brand new website, maybe we can update that.
I will certainly take that under advisement. I will tell you the search feature on the new website is pretty great. So if you do hit a search up for Tingley or anything like that, every subject matter, every document does show up. I've used it for just resolution purposes and conversations. We talk about certain topics, and I was able to get all of those documents ready for myself. Just so I will tell you, the search feature itself has that capability to any topic, if you will.
Okay. And just notification aspect, is that something we can do? Like if, like say I'm interested in notification for that particular topic.
I can check with our office to see if that is something.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilman Patio?
Okay. Thank you, Council President. The first question to business administration. I understand the Glendale is in the litigation, but what I'm looking is the amount, not the purchase cost, but the amount that we spent in terms of the interest plus the litigation fee, what the total as of this meeting. If you can provide that by Wednesday, I don't have to speak out, but at least for my reference, that would be helpful.
I'll certainly take that under advisement. Thank you.
Sage Architect, we had back and forth. My understanding was we are in the litigation, but looks like we are not. And this is very surprising and strange that we have a vendor who has caused a multiple change orders because of his mistake. We are supposed to go and recover that money from his insurance. And here we are after a year, we have not yet in the litigation. So if you can send me, and maybe this question is to attorney, we don't need to go in a back room, but if you can send me one pager, where we stand, what our action plan to recover or recoup that money, that would be helpful.
All I can offer as far as Sage Architects is concerned is that once the council failed to renew their contract, we did advise them and that the sole project they were working on has been turned over to CME Engineering. So they are no longer performing any services for the township.
I understand that, but we are supposed to go into litigation to recover the money that resulted into the change order. And this is on the tape. We have said that, we have very first change order, I was told, hey, just approve this. We will recover this money from the insurance of the vendor. And that's what I'm using the word litigation. We're supposed to get into litigation, and that didn't happen. And that's where my question comes in. What is our way now to recover that money? Because it's a taxpayer's money.
That would be a topic for a closed session. So at any point, if you'd like a closed session on that matter, we can certainly arrange for that.
Okay, maybe Council President, Wednesday could be a closed session. This is a serious concern because I have the linkage and the proofs. There is a conflict of interest for many things here.
I would recommend if that's something for closed session, that it be not at Wednesday's meeting, but the following meeting. after that.
So
Yeah.
the March, the first March
Yes, that
meeting?
would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jackson Avenue, lot discussion happened on this dais, lot many residents came in. What happened to the grant? Did we return the money, the Jackson Avenue widening, or what happened to the grant money?
So the grant money, if we don't spend it, that does get, the state does recoup those funds. My understanding, that project hasn't moved forward. That's where it stands.
So that money will be refunded back, should have been refunded by end of last year. We are in February.
I'm not sure, I'm not understanding your term of refund, but I can certainly provide a
Like-
financial,
When was this approved? When did we secure or when did we receive the money from the state? When the aid was received? It was last year, 2024, correct?
let me just turn to Councilman Pointer's.
I apologize, I didn't mean to distract
okay.
you, but my recollection is that we didn't approve that resolution to accept the funds. So I don't think we've actually received them. And if I'm mistaken, please.
I think, we did, approve. We said we will not spend and will return. But again, I would like to double check.
And you know what, I can certainly get that from the clerk's office, but Councilman Pointer is correct in that we did not. And the reason for us, the back and forth, was the community meeting and so forth and so on. So I don't recall that was actually approved.
Okay, so this will be a question to Cheryl now. If you can please pull the resolution for the acceptance of the grant, whether it was approved by the council or it didn't approve, or we tabled it forever. So I'm looking for that information. I will send you an email to get the details.
I think about Jackson, you're talking about Jackson Avenue?
Yes.
Yeah.
My next question is on the flooding remediation updates. Again, this is a long topic. We spoke probably last 3 years. Stephenville, Calvert, Summer Street, JP Stevens Grove, Winding Brook, any change on that?
I did get an update, and that is with the legal department, which they're working on easements.
Okay, I understand it's 3.5 years. What updates I can get from the legal department? So
If we're doing closed session in March, I would probably just add that to the list.
Okay. Yeah, there is nothing to be discussed in closed session. It is a black and white. It's a flooding issue. The money was spent on engineering. We are supposed to kickstart the project. If you go back and look at the records, even we said, hey, the engineering study is done. We are ready to roll the sleeves and get the work. The money was even funded as a part of bond. I don't know why we need to go to the closed session unless it is a litigation or confidential matter that public should not be aware. So I'm surprised with that, but we'll discuss during the next meeting. Next one, Rider DPW area beautification. Again, this is a topic probably more than a year now. I understand the fence was put there. I was told the trees will be planted. The residents are still complaining. Hey, they see the bricks and the gravels from their window. And I was told that we will be planting tall trees so that they don't get that view. Again, this is when our DPW director, Ray, when he came to the podium and he explained, can you please find what's happening there and how soon we can get that done?
Sure.
Clara Barton, again, probably this is few times I mentioned, if you go on Clara Barton, Amber Avenue, and most of the inner roads closer to J Dynasty and that neighborhood, the utility company ripped our roads. They were in very good condition. We have an ordinance that says anyone who digs our road, they should be restoring to the original condition. As far as I remember, the Amber Avenue was paved probably 4 years ago, not that long. And it is in, I would say, pathetic situation. So I don't know why we are not enforcing our own laws unless, Sonia, you confirm that we received enough money from utility company that we can take on that project and we pave the road.
We did receive the payment. I did confirm that from E-Town. And right now, what we're working on is the design aspect of Amboy Avenue. Right now, we're trying to address the drainage issues first. So, but with regard to the utility separately, which is your first question, we did get a check.
Okay. Can you tell how much was that money? Because if you remember, if you look at the count, the road, the miles, I want to really understand whether we received enough and what that amount is and how that was received. Typically, the resolution comes on this dais to accept the funds provided by utility. If you remember, we had to take over one of the street from the builder because he failed to pay, and we said, hey, we will take over and we'll seize his bond, and that's what the agreement was. But this council approved that resolution to accept that money. If you say that you received the money, but I have not seen that resolution on this council dais to make sure that we really received the money from the utility company and that is good enough to pave the road. So if you can provide the number, what's the dollar amount that we received?
I'll get you the dollar amount of the check.
Sounds good. I don't need a check, I just need a dollar amount and what account it was deposited, like the bucket there. I'll skip the public safety, but in terms of the residents complaint, service request portal. There are many citizens who are logging the complaints where street light is off or there are potholes or something. During earlier administration, I used to get a quarterly report. And this is, even though the service is good, the system is good to log the complaint, but 95% times the request gets closed without any action. And the resident has no way to know what happened to that request. So can you please provide me I don't want to go 2-3 years, but at least a last one quarter from November, December through February, the service request, how many service requests we received by department and how many were closed, how many were really serviced. That would help. Traffic report on the Inman and Tingley. I requested that during the last council meeting. I was told, yes, we'll provide you the report. Here you go. After a month, I don't have any report. So if you can help me to get the traffic report for Inman, Tingley, and Rahway. The second traffic report was requested on Calvert and Grove Avenue. There are email exchanges with engineering. I was told the traffic report will be available on Monday. That is today. It will be disbursed to the council and potentially to the residents. Do we know? Because it's pretty much end of day.
Could you repeat the report that you're looking for?
Calvert and Grove Avenue traffic study report.
Okay. So the update that I have from our township engineer, so there's a draft report, and what is being recommended is to obviously address the drainage issues. There is a high water table. So what we're working through is to try to raise the storm structures and roadways installation, as well as the under drain system to intercept the groundwater and potentially pump it from the stream. So all of the township's options have been pretty extensive and would require DEP permitting. So that is the recommendation.
I'm sorry, I think you're reading something else. I'm talking about the Calvert and Grove Avenue traffic.
It's in
report.
It's in the same realm as Calvert. It's Summer Street. It's Stephenville.
I'm talking about that topic was over long back. I'm talking about the Calvert and Grove Avenue traffic study report. Remember that intersection, the DPW did put the bigger stop signs. There is the crosswalk there, but I was told that there is a traffic study report that was conducted. We had one bid, the traffic study was done. The last email I received from engineering department was they are reviewing some of the comment that engineer has provided, and that report will be published today. That's Monday, end of the day.
Okay. Again, I'm tying into some of the things that we are doing there in that location. I'll have the deputy chief to speak to the traffic.
Okay.
All right, Councilman Shmuel. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Just a quick comment to Councilman Patil. So I did have a chance to talk to Brian Picarella earlier today from engineering in regards to the traffic study. The traffic study has come back from the outside company. It is currently in review and in engineering and should be forthcoming. So it is in-house at this point for our review.
That's what I was told last week. It's
Okay.
there in-house, and I was
But
told by
it
Monday.
hasn't moved beyond that at this point, just so you're aware. Okay.
So is there a way that I can get ETA? Because in email, I was told by Monday it will be available for public. So that's today. So even if I get ETA saying it will be by end of the week, I'm okay with that. Just I need ETA. That's what I'm asking.
I understand on the deadlines. I don't know what their conclusion is for the review. All I can tell you is it is in review in-house at this point.
Okay. I'll send an email, and Sonia will copy you to get the date there. And how about the traffic study report for Inman, Tingley, and Rahaway?
Can you repeat those streets again, please?
That's the traffic signal that we approved with the county. But that time I said, I'm okay to move forward, but I would like to see the traffic study report because that neighborhood has changed significantly. There is a school there, kids are walking there. Have we done our due diligence? Because very same resolution was approved and was moved to county in 2019. And it came back again in 2025. So this council did, approve that resolution for a county to move forward. But my question that time and even today is, do we have the latest and greatest traffic report?
All of that was attached as backup to that resolution. I can certainly resend it.
Again, that the day I asked and you will provide that. That was an answer from Brian himself. If this wasn't attached, I wouldn't be asking the question. It was a question, when I asked question to engineer and he said, we will provide you. But if you can go back and if there is an attachment somewhere, I'll be happy to, if you can forward that, if I missed that. But I don't think there was a traffic report there.
Councilman Pato, I do have a traffic study that's from that. I can forward that to you that Brian provided to me.
It was not in the packet though, right?
I am not sure about the status of the package, but I do have one.
Okay.
Forward to.
Okay, if it's received to you personally, if you can forward it. And that is where I'm looking at transparency, all the council members receive that would be, so I don't have to repeat those questions. Thank you, Council President.
Okay, thank you. Now, Councilman Shmuel.
Thank you, Council President. It's interesting when I put things down as discussion items, I get a lot of calls and people update me on some of the items. So I'm a little more educated. I'm not going to talk as much about them, but real quick on the smart meter program, Sonia. Last time we brought this up, we're waiting for iBank funding. Has that happened? Do we have a timeline on that?
I can get that to you by the end of the week.
Thank you. I'm going to skip over Comcast. I need to have a conversation. Maybe I'll bring it up next meeting. And the last item, which clearly seems to be a lot more complicated than I thought, deer population. And I know in South Edison, I get a lot of calls lately about the deer. I love the deer. I love seeing the deer. My wife doesn't feel the same because it eats all her plants. But the residents, our constituents, are complaining about the amount of deer. And when I did some research, this has been a topic of conversation, I think, for the past few years in this council. I just wanted to bring it up to the council members, and maybe we could have a discussion offline of how we could harvest the deer in Edison. I don't know if it's the same in North Edison as it is in South Edison. If anybody has any input, I'm all ears.
Councilman Patil?
I think, we had probably this going on past 5-6 years now, not 1, 2. We had the deer survey done, the expert came in, he spoke, all the different methods to control. We also formed a subcommittee. We went through that, but there is no conclusion. I think this is a topic of maybe discussion for another day, but I will leave it to the council member to make the comment.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you, right? The county can do things, right? And I think the county is doing things on their properties that they have. The problem, I guess, that this body would struggle with, right, is for us just to come and vote no one's going to pay to neuter the deer, right? That number was astronomical. There was no way possible we were going to spend like $1,000, $1,500 a deer to neuter deer. So the only choice really is to have a hunt or cull the herd. The problem with it is you've sat here and you've watched people come here for the flag. and you've watched people come here for cannabis. What's going to happen when all your children's friends show up at the dais here and ask you about killing Bambi at the end of the day? So for me, it's more about the children, and I think that's where, as a body here, we struggle in trying to do something humanely, but recognizing that there is a problem, and therefore it's how I used to tell Councilman Bob Deal all the time, we form committees, and that's where all good ideas go to die. So that's where I think the deer study is right now, is in one of those committees, unfortunately.
Okay.
Honesty.
Thank you, Council President.
Okay. As for myself, a couple of questions for the deputy chief. So if you help me with this. There have been a lot of accidents on Route 1. I know Route 1 is a state road, but there has been so many accidents on the Edison corridor of Route 1. Is there anything that we can do to get some better coordination of the lights, or have something that's going to be safer? Can Edison appeal to the county appeal to the state, or can Edison appeal to the state to do a better job on, at least in the Edison corridor, with regard to the coordination of lights and the safety? Because it's just gotten so out of hand with the accidents on Route 1.
Okay, Council President, to answer your question. So we actually are in the process of doing a coordinated effort between all the towns in Middlesex County along the Route 1 corridor. The county has created a task force. It is in the staging or the implementation, or I shouldn't say that, rephrase that. They're planning stage right now, implementation stage, hopefully late March. That is the plan. So the plan will include all the towns along the Route 1 corridor. Officers from each will be put together as a task force and will rotate from town to town, working as a group for increased enforcement along Route 1. They're also working with DOT. They're looking at statistical data of accidents. They are looking at lights. They're looking at cameras. They're taking a lot of things into account. So this process is ongoing right now, and I expect implementation in March, mid to late March.
Wow, that's great
So it'll
news.
be a very good program, and the goal is to cut down on fatalities. That is the overall goal of this program, to cut down on fatalities. Unfortunately, Middlesex County in 2024 had the most fatalities of any county in New Jersey. And obviously, the goal is to reduce that number, hopefully to zero, but at least reduce it.
Okay, great. The intersection of Durham and New Durham so that's that really bobby pin type of intersection there. And when I am on Durham and I'm I have to really crane my neck because the side view mirror is not going to do the job to show me what traffic is coming on New Durham. Would it be possible to put any kind of like one of those big mirrors that could show better the traffic coming on New Durham, so you don't have to just crane your neck so severely in order to see what's coming off of New Durham?
I'm not sure if a mirror is an adequate response to that, but what I can do is I can bounce that off of our traffic unit as well as engineering to see if there's something feasible or if there's something else perhaps that might be a better option.
All right, that would be great.
But I can certainly have that looked at.
Thank you. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. All right, thanks a lot. Update on the water main situation. We haven't really heard anything, and so Sonia, just anything to report on what's happening with the water mains?
Are you talking specifically generally about water main breaks?
Yes.
They almost happen on a weekly basis. I mean, we've been getting to them as fast and as quick as possible. It's not uncommon, especially during the cold months, that this happens. So if there's anything specific you want me to answer on water main breaks?
Just coming, because it was such a really such a big problem at Christmas time and then beyond. It really seemed like it was like you plugged one and another one was coming up. And it seems like there hasn't been, we haven't heard of any issues that have come up lately, but it certainly was a big concern that so many were happening so close to one another. And so in terms of, so you're saying that in terms of the remediation of water main situations, that is ongoing?
It is ongoing, and if it affects, 10 to 20 homes, we reach out to them directly to make sure that, they're under advisement, and if there's a boiling water advisement, we let them know as soon as possible. Same thing if we get that from other utilities that are serviced throughout the township, we let the immediate resident know about how, what the effectiveness and repair time looks like. That's all I have for
All right.
water.
North Edison baseball parking lot. I was there yesterday. I took a drive through, and it really is pretty appalling, especially the lot that's closest to Oak Tree Road. And at North Edison baseball, people, as the season is coming up very soon, are really wondering at long last, when is this problem going to be taken care of? When can there be a repaving?
Council President, as you know, the 2025 budget hasn't yet been adopted. I can certainly take it under advisement to the administration and engineering if that's something that they would add into the 2025 budget.
Okay. What happened with 2024? Did we not have this allocated for 2024?
I can certainly check to see if that made the list. Obviously, we look to, we have priority for residential streets to see if that is something we can look into, but I'm not sure about 2024.
This really is, I just need to speak up for the people who are so concerned about this. The pockmarks and potholes are terrible, and it does present a danger to people just getting out of their cars, and it's a hazard.
One thing that we can certainly do if it's not in the 24 list is go in there and do those repairs.
That would be wonderful. That'd be a great start.
We can certainly address that once the weather warms up and the plants are open.
That would be a great start. Thank you. A question came up actually from the library people and also with regard to Cultural Arts Commission. Edison Valley Playhouse on Oak Tree and Woodland, which has not been operational since 2023. The library was wondering if they might be able to make use of it while the North Library is closed and that they might be able to have some of their programs there. In addition, it would be nice while we wait for the Ferrante House, it would be nice if Cultural Arts Commission could also make use of this. Do we know anything about the condition of the Edison Valley Playhouse, if this would be feasible for us to make use of this?
I'm familiar with the space. I don't know that it's habitable, but I can certainly check to see what the condition is.
Please do, please do. Animal shelter rehab addition, where are we at with that? I know that we don't really have space to build out, but the question is building up.
So with regard to the any sort of renovation or expansion, let's call it, it is under review with Public Works and Engineering. So we need to get a professional to give us a proposal to see what that would look like.
Any time frame as to when we might get that?
I know they're currently working on it, and oftentimes that may take 45 to 60 days.
Okay, all right. One more here that was not on my original list. I got a question from a resident about the boat basin and he said, I have not been there recently, but he said that the conditions are getting worse and worse and worse. What's being done, or is there anything that's planned to be done about the conditions of the boat basin?
Do you know what conditions specifically?
He had sent me, let's see, he texted me if I can, let's see if I can find this. Here it is. I'm not sure exactly where, but there's like a huge log so the pier itself is is pretty much falling into the water, and then there's a log, there are several long logs that are underneath it, and so he's finding the condition even worse than last year. He said that he's concerned someone's going to slip and get hurt or worse. He said $500 would have fixed all of this. And so it's, can someone take a look at the condition of the boat basin and let me know if there's some remediation that can be done there?
So, so with regard to all of the logs you're describing, so high tide, low tide, all of that gets dragged in. It's, we're nearly going there on a weekly basis. So, I will check with DPW to see if that's still on track. So regardless, they'll come back over and over again. With regard to the boat basin, I believe FEMA very recently approved the funding for that, for the repairs. So we actually can't make any major repairs. I know we did some temporary measures to make sure that there was concern about getting some boats in there because at the beginning of the season, we were able to do that to a certain extent, but we can't make major repairs to the boat basin without this FEMA approval. And DP, of course, so we can't just go in there and start making certain repairs to that. We did address issues of emergency. If you could just send me those pictures as well.
Yeah, I'll
I'd
send
be
it.
much appreciated. So I certainly would
Okay.
like to walk out there, take a look to see what we may need to do if there's a handle missing or something
All
like
right,
that.
thank you. Thank you. I'll send that to you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, that's it for me. So, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn approved, and we are adjourned at 8:18 PM. Thank you very much.